would have much rather have seen Larry Elder on stage than Mike Pence. He's a cure to insomnia. Honestly, every time he spoke, I wanted to follow.
Said that if that Hunter Biden laptop story
have any arguments against that right now, and I want to see how it goes. Listen, Larry Elder, if you know how to get in contact with Larry Elder, I want to get in contact with that brother so I can have him on the channel and just have a conversation with him. I want to interview Larry Elder, man.
I am joined by the winner of tonight's debate by not being on stage, Larry Elder. Larry, it's good to see you.
And I should have been there. As you know, I got shafted by the RNC regarding the first debate.
Yep.
I had to turn in 3 polls where I was at least 1% or better. I did. I get a phone call from Ronnie McDaniel after the deadline. I'm sorry, you can't use one of your polls. Why? It's affiliated with Trump. Which one? Rasmussen. Rasmussen then puts out a statement, Dave, and says, we're not affiliated with Trump. So I submitted a 4th one, and they said you submitted it too late, which is true. I didn't realize I needed to submit a 4th one. However, they had finished their polling before the deadline, so there was enough wiggle room. They could have put me up there had they wanted to. So I got shafted, and since you can't make the first debate, how in the world do you get your numbers up to make the second debate?
Well, my friend, I truly think it was a blessing in disguise, because had you been in that room tonight, it was just a giant sucking sound of depressive, pretty much nothingness.
Wow. It says a lot about you guys. I mean, it's just still, a big depressing sound of nothingness. It says a lot about you guys, especially Vivek Ramaswamy. What happened with Ron DeSantis? He didn't do well. Like, somebody should have started the party, huh? What about the fat guy? What about the fat guy that like to that really want to attack Trump? What's the fat guy name? I keep on forgetting his daggone name. What's the fat guy name? And it's sad that somebody's going to answer the question of who the fat guy is. Be like, oh, the fat guy that was on the stage? Oh, yeah, that was Chris Christie. That was Christie. Yeah, Christie was definitely the fat guy on the stage. That's sad, man. Why are y'all so mean?
Look, we'll get into all of it. Patrick Bet-David will be joining us in a little bit. Carol Markowitz from the New York Post, and we'll see who else shows up. I sent a couple texts to some candidates, so we'll see if anyone wants to swing by. You just got here, but you were able to watch it in the car, right? So you're able to see some of this. I mean, did anything move you? Did anything inspire you? Any of that stuff?
Well, the true winner, no kidding, was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
By once again realizing his lead is so commanding that there's no reason for him to sit there and take shots from other people. I think the highlight was this line that Chris Christie uttered about Donald Trump being called Donald Duck.
That was the highlight of the
I don't know how long he rehearsed that, but obviously he rehearsed it. It fell flat. It was stupid. It was idiotic.
Isn't it funny when they do those lines at this point? Patrick Bet-David's joining us. Pat, we'll have you check in just one second.
How are you, my man?
You guys know each other. I've seen you do your thing not too long ago. But isn't it funny? I mean, you've done plenty of debates, obviously, in your life. Just watching
Donald Trump to be the nominee anymore, of course not.
So, Pat, I think you're going to be a bit surprised when I say that there really was no winner here. I would say Larry was a winner in that he wasn't on the stage. And I would say that Donald Trump really was the winner because this is really all about, can someone dethrone him? He was barely discussed. I think DeSantis did a perfectly fine job, but did not move the needle by any estimation. I have to call it as I see it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
First of all, I would have much rather have seen Larry Elder on stage than Mike Pence. Mike Pence, I'm sure, is a sweetheart of a man and a father. I'm sure he's a great grandfather, but he's a cure to insomnia. Honestly, every time he spoke, I wanted to fall asleep. Again, I love him, man. I'm sure he's a good man.
But thinking, like, why do you think he's doing it?
He called Pence the cure to insomnia, bruh. Hold on, that was the wrong. Was that the wrong? No, that was the right one. That was the right one. Listen, man. Oh no, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's that one. It's that one. It's that one.
It's actually, if I'm his grandson, I would say, Grandpa, please wrap it up. If I was his son, I would say, just step away.
Move it along.
Don't do it. I will tell you a couple things that was very interesting from my perspective. It was a united attack on Vivek. It's as if somebody from the RNC fed everybody on the attack on China. And whether it's RNC or somebody else, they all went after him. He got rattled a couple times.
He did.
And you saw that. And he kept doing this and he kept doing this. And at the end, Christie said, put your hand down. I see your hand. I'm not done yet. So there was a little bit of that going on. And then at the same time, Vivek changed his strategy. And the adjustment he did, he went from attacking everybody on the first one to not wanting to be a synergist.
Yes.
That you can't make that kind of if you're going to be the guy that's going to go after everybody and you're going to play Trump's card, and Trump's card is what? I'm the only one I paid for Marco Rubio. I paid for this. You got to double down. You can't now apologize on that.
And I think the audience could kind of feel it in there when he would kind of go after them a little bit and then say, well, let's just be civil when they threw it back.
And Tim Scott said, you can't say that. And the last time you called us this. So I thought Tim played offense. First time they asked DeSantis a question was in 16-minute mark. They waited a while till they asked him. I don't understand why. Why wouldn't you ask? That's the guy in the center. You start off with the guy. You don't go to Tim Scott. I didn't understand the moderators, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know the moderators. I've seen them many times, but I don't know that we don't have a relationship. I thought they lost control the first 30 minutes to an hour. I'm sure there was a regrouping and somebody gave them feedback. I thought they lost control of the entire thing the first hour. And they almost made the debate, as a viewer, as a guy that's a competitor, the first hour was super boring.
Yeah, it was incredibly boring.
Wow. He said the first hour was super boring.
Looking around, people were getting up and walking out.
Yeah.
So that part's got to be on the moderator as well.
You know, I do know Dana Perino, and I will for sure tonight. I will send her a text. I will ask her what they were thinking in that first hour when there was just no energy in that room. But Larry, since you ran for governor and actually did how many millions of votes did you get?
3.5 million.
3.5
million. 57
votes.
to 58 counties on the replacement side.
Yeah.
Got in with 8 weeks left. In 8 weeks, we raised $27 million.
And I'm
more
honored
than all the other 45 rivals combined.
And I'm honored that I was just a little piece of doing that thing with you, and it was awesome. It really was. But it failed, and then that was what caused me to move to Florida. Pat also moved to Florida in midst of COVID.
You were at one of my rallies. You spoke at one of my rallies. And by the way, was I not drawing Trump-like crowds?
No, you were drawing Trump-like crowds. It was unbelievable. But
anyway.
I mention all of that. I mention all of that because
hey man, Larry Elder is a cool guy, and let me tell y'all something. It's very rare that people wear 70 so good. Now, am I adding more years to his life than he is? How old is Larry Elder? He's 70, right? Like, how old is this brother? Can somebody please let me know? Or is he in his top 6?
The guy that obviously I'm backing, DeSantis. All the answers were good. I don't think he lied about anything. I don't think anyone hit him, but he needed something magical there, and I can't sit here and tell you that it was there.
Patrick and I were talking.
He said the guy I'm backing, DeSantis. So all right. So he want DeSantis to win. DeSantis, he's doing a phenomenal. Well, no, it depends on who you ask. On paper, he's doing a phenomenal job in Florida.
Talking about this when I did his show. It's not anything that DeSantis has done or has not done. It's a 10,000-pound elephant in the room called Donald Trump. Michael Dukakis was once flattering Bill Clinton by saying he's the best stand-up politician I've ever seen. He meant that in a positive way. Donald Trump is the best stand-up politician I have ever seen, bar none. You and I were talking about what normally happens when you're a one-term president. Jimmy Carter was a one-term president. He couldn't get a table at Fatburger. George Herbert Walker Bush was a one-term president. His dog wouldn't sniff him. This guy's a one-term president, has retained his stranglehold over the party. I've never seen anything like that. He's funny. He's clever. He's witty. He's successful. He's confident. And he has a record. He ran and governed for 4 years.
Do you think
great economy. So
I think everyone gets it on Trump, but do you think there's something different that DeSantis should be doing? And Pat, I want to ask you the same thing, because you said to me months ago this is a marketing issue with him, not a policy issue.
Yeah, he and I disagreed about that. There's nothing you can do. What's he going to say? Give him a nickname? Say that he had a bad economy? Say that he did a bad job on borders? Bad job on gasoline prices? What's he going to say? The only argument is that there are so many people in this country who do not like Donald Trump for whatever reason, that there's Trump derangement syndrome. I'm not Donald Trump. I've got the same policy, so therefore vote for me. That's the only argument.
That is pretty much the only argument. He's done pretty much everything that he was supposed to do. And I mean, as the president, I mean, his record backs him up to the point where he was a one-term president. And that was a phenomenal point that Larry Elder made, man. He was a one-term president, still getting way more support than anybody else out there, even the current president. He's getting more support than the current president. Not even talking about the people that want to be the GOP presidential, candidate. It's not even talking about them. He's far surpassed them. Far. But since Rubin is in support of DeSantis, he wants to know what can DeSantis do to better position himself, because right now, he's pretty much. I think DeSantis has been told that you don't have to do anything. All right, just continue to play it safe. You are the guy that people will vote for behind Trump. If anything that they're doing on the left works, you are the guy. You don't have to change up anything. Your personality is okay. It's cool. You know what I mean? It's dry, but it's good enough to win. The GOP, candidate. It's good enough to win. So I don't think Rubin really liked the answer that Larry is giving him, to be honest with you, because everything is Trump. Everything is about Trump. And it just is what it is, because Trump has the best numbers, because when Trump was in office, he backed up his talk.
I would say DeSantis did much better on this one than the first one. However, he did have one mishap with the whole fracking in Florida. And if you go Google right now, does DeSantis approve fracking or, not want fracking? The first thing that'll come up is an article from October 2022 where he's talking about fracking in Louisiana and Texas, but not in Florida. And then there's another article from Tampa Bay talking about the fact that he's willing to do fracking in any state, but not in Florida. And by the way, as a Floridian myself, I don't want to see rigs on the beach. I just don't want to see it.
Right.
But just say that. Maybe that is an angle to take rather than saying, no, I do support it. Nikki Haley, if you look at Drudge Report and you see who's at the top, who they have at the top, they got Haley at the top. And Drudge is not a Haley.
I think Nikki did just fine. I have a big difference with her on foreign policy for sure, but she just comes across as competent, clear. She knows what she's saying. She was willing to fight. I walked out with the last 5 minutes. So I saw, I saw the 10-cent thing. And then they're arguing about the drapes as if she was supposed to return the Obama drapes or that, to your point, nobody cares.
What an issue.
Nobody cares. Should we bring in a woman because we're talking about drapes? I feel like we should bring in a woman. Carol Markowitz from the New York Post, our drape expert here. Actually, if anyone, I was saying to Larry that he sort of won tonight because he wasn't involved in the debate. Pat had a better seat than me. That was pretty good. But you had the best seat for you guys watching at home. Carol was right behind who is the male moderator. You were right there. You were one of the two people right there. You could have stolen the show tonight. Like a little something. You made some faces. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of Twitter comments. I was smirking, but that's just my face. So
what's your takeaway as to what happened here?
Oh, so somebody said that she got the RBF. So they've been posting her face on Twitter because apparently she has an RBF. I'm not even going to say what that is. Some people know what that is. Y'all ever seen the term that says, if you know, you know? All right. Yeah. They saying that she got RBF.
Nobody seems particularly impressed, to say the least.
Are not getting, I mean, he's right.
They needed me.
Yeah. They're not getting anywhere. We're not answering any questions. Everybody's trying to land like the good line. I think Nikki did well landing those lines. I think DeSantis looked like the grown-up in the room trying to avoid the squabbling. But I don't know that these debates are getting anywhere. And one of the reasons is there are just too many candidates up there. It's gotten to where we're not getting anybody's message. Nobody knows what anybody stands for, and it's pointless.
Would we all agree at this point that Pence, Tim Scott, Christie, and I keep calling him Bergstrom from Family Guy, but Bergstrom, that if they drop, this would make a lot more sense. Pat, you think that would be fair? And then we could have something a little more sensible. Vivek, Nikki, DeSantis.
So. Look, we're in the business of politics. So I'll give you my one feedback that maybe we don't want to hear, but it's how I feel about this. You know how in soccer they have the championship, the main fight, the main match that everybody wants to see? And then they have third and fourth place play. Nobody cares to watch third and fourth. I got that feeling today.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm looking at the crowd. People are yawning and walking out. Who walks out of a debate? People were getting up and shaking hands after the first time walking out. Yeah, I didn't want to hear from Mike Pence. Mike Pence took 14 minutes that we can get back. I lost 14 minutes tonight. I didn't want to hear from him. Doug, very good. He's good.
He's competent. He's a nice guy. He makes his point.
Smart guy, qualified, all of that. But president is a different job. Okay, it's a very different job. I think Tim Scott, I believe he'll be one of the ones on the bottom. But I think Tim Scott did okay today. Do I want him on the stage next time? I'd much rather watch the four people talk to each other and see what's going to happen. But at the same time, I think the last debate is going to be possibly worse than this, because in people's minds, when this is going further and further and further, everybody's asking the one question: what are we doing this for? Dana asked the question at the end saying, look, you're saying you're not going to write who to knock off the show, knock off the debate. Fine, because that's the last question she asked. Nobody wanted to answer. Christie wrote a name down, and then he comes afterwards and said, looks like you did write a name. He says, I did write a name, that it was Trump. Yeah. I wrote Trump. I want him off the debate. But for me, Dana asked the question saying, so look, you're behind 45, 46 points. How are you going to pull this up? And he says, presidents don't get elected by polls. They get elected by voters. Phenomenal line. Good for whoever came up with that.
It's a cute line, but what's the point?
Just not the truth. You have a very, very big, unless if they try to arrest him. Today, I made an offer on Mar-a-Lago.
You're going to throw 19? Throw 19? What are you doing?
$300 million. I said, if it's $18 million, I'll buy it myself.
Yeah.
They're targeting that guy left and right. And if I'm a true competitor on the Republican side, I'm sitting there asking myself, do I want these guys targeting Trump as much as they are, or do I want them to leave him alone? The more they do, the more they're giving him the limelight.
Yeah, well, Larry, I think you agree with this. I tweeted in the middle of this thing. It was like the debate really should have been one question, and then it should have been a free-for-all. It should have been, how are you going to beat Trump? Forget the Democrats for a second. This is a freaking primary, and there was just simply none of that, right? I mean, DeSantis tried once or twice, but that was about it.
It would have been more entertaining had they done that. But again, what people wanted to see, what would have driven ratings, is for Trump to show up. He wasn't there. So nobody really cares. He's got a commanding lead in the polls. Joe Biden has horrible numbers on the economy, horrible numbers on the borders. Everybody can agree on that. The question is, who do you want other than Donald Trump? And the answer is, we want Donald Trump.
Let's talk about the other.
Who do you want other than Donald Trump? And the answer is, we want Donald Trump.
I'm going to say I don't know about that, because he's running sort of as the incumbent. This is owed to me. I deserve this chance. And he's only got half the Republican Party. I said this on your show last time I was on. But if Joe Biden woke up with Donald Trump's numbers, he would, to paraphrase the old Chris Rock line, throw himself out the window. And so what we have here is half the party who does not want Donald Trump. And 73% of Iowans want, some of them will take Trump, but they want someone else. So look, to me, it's not about, defeating or defending anybody. It's about that half the party does not want this man, and it's a very winnable contest.
Well,
primary voters. These are primary voters. You look at the polls in Iowa, look at the polls in New Hampshire. If anything, Donald Trump is increasing his lead. So the question is, what do the people in the primaries want?
She made a good point.
And from what I can tell on the campaign trail, and I've been around all these people, heard them all speak, they still want Trump.
Pat, from a marketing perspective, are you shocked how the lack of entertainment? Like, I want a competent executive. We've discussed this many times. I actually don't care about the show that much. I just want someone. I moved to Florida and changed my life because of a competent executive and the people that supported him, right? So I don't care about the show that much, and yet it's increasingly obvious that the show may matter way more than the policies. Like, why aren't they figuring out a better way to do the show?
You mean the debates?
Yeah, just the show portion.
Yeah,
I mean,
listen, it's so boring. It's not even funny. It's driving me insane just watching it. How they don't want to innovate. And every single, how our educational system is not innovating. It's the same thing it's been for 50, 60, 70 years. But everything is different. Technology is different. And people are disrupting it. I think this needs to be disrupted already. What is this all about? We're supposed to sit there and watch this format? It makes no sense to me. You can run a March Madness bracket, have people do face-offs that 2 hour long, and then the winner goes to the next, and it's leading to, there's so many different formats you can do than this nonsense they're doing. But by the way, let's talk about one thing that maybe, you're seeing the DeSantis Newsom debate, right? That's coming up, November 22nd, whatever the date is. I think they confirmed, they agreed on how that's going to be taking place. There's an element right now that something no one's talking about. You're seeing Newsom is now campaigning. Newsom vetoed 2 things this week that's drawn him more to the center. What is he doing? What do you mean saying no to something you agreed on 4 or 5 months ago? Now you're doing that. The only reason he would be vetoing things that's more centered than the left is because maybe he wants to win that vote, or maybe he wants to run.
He's running,
Are
period.
they thinking about something's going to happen there?
He's running.
So if Newsom comes up, who is he going to match up against? Or Fox News? We know Fox News is not for Trump. Fox News is more for DeSantis. Of course, they're going to want to put DeSantis against Trump. But at the end of the day, you can do all you want to do. If the voter wants Trump, you can try to convince yourself and make yourself feel happy and all this stuff. That's not how business and competition works. Numbers do a lot of talking.
Regarding Newsom, Newsom, of course, he wants to be president. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris drop dead, he'd be ecstatic. However, they're not going to. Joe Biden, if he can fog up a mirror, will be the nominee, and if he can't fog up a mirror, it will be Kamala Harris. I know that Kamala Harris is unpopular, but for crying out loud, she's very popular among black female voters, and they are the most loyal part of the Democratic base. And the first primary for the Democrats is South Carolina. 60% of the Democrat primary voters in South Carolina are black. Majority of those are black female, and they love Kamala Harris. Right. And if she is perceived as having been drop kicked for some white dude like Gavin Newsom, are you kidding me? They won't vote Republican. They just won't vote at all.
I actually think the party's so evil that it wouldn't surprise me if they did that, but I get your point.
They painted themselves in a corner with this race and gender stuff. The reason she's there is because she's a black female. By the way, for a while, it appeared that Dianne Feinstein might not finish her term in California. And Gavin Newsom said, I will appoint a black female.
Yeah, you
in order to get Joe Biden's support, James Clyburn, before the South Carolina primary in 2020, extracted a promise that the first nominee would be a black female. Now you're going to drop kick a black female for a white dude? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
And they can't afford to do that. They are stuck with Kamala Harris.
Wow. Now, that's what I'm talking about right there. As he said, black women absolutely love Kamala. And if you're a black liberal woman, please answer that question. I really want to know why you love Kamala Harris. I love Kamala too, as a human being, okay? None of these people we talk about do I not love. I don't hate anyone, all right? I'm talking about for the job of president. Why would black women love Kamala Harris to be in the position? My only answer to that is representation. That's it. Now, I say that's it, representation. Sometimes representation is somebody's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Representation, 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 representation. And what's the last one? Oh, yeah, representation. Like, some people just go off of that. For me, I think it's ridiculous. I think that's dumb as hell. If she's not equipped to run a country, what is she doing now? What is she accomplishing right now as the vice president? What is she doing? What is she adding to this administration? How does she balance out the whole Joe Biden thing? Like, what does she bring to the table? That's all I want to know.